Today a small tip about shooting in the sun. You hear a lot of photographers complaining about, well, when I go outside I have to have really nice weather and I can't shoot in the sun between, let's say, 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, to be totally honest, when you know what you're doing with your light, you can shoot on every day and every location. The main problem, however, with some photographers is they don't look at the shadows. So at the moment I'm standing in the shade. It's very sunny outside, it's around 12 o'clock. And I'm standing in the shade because in the shade I have a beautiful soft light. So I'm going to take my model in a moment and I'm going to show you some little tricks what you can do with natural light. Now the first thing I'm going to show you is I'm using a different camera today. I'm using the Fuji X1 Pro. And to be totally honest, I never thought I would like a rangefinder camera. I'm more a DSLR guy, medium format, so the really nice big cameras. This one, however, really stole my heart. It's a really small camera and it's very easy to adjust. Now with normal point and shoot cameras, what you have to do is you have to go into the menu to change settings like exposure compensation. With this camera, the much fun is it's all in the dials. You can dial in your exposure compensation, you can dial in your shutter speed, and you can dial in your aperture on the lens. So it gives you a real old-fashioned look. And I hate to go into all those menus. So this is the camera I'm going to use now, and by the way, the quality, it's amazing. It's an APS-C sensor, so it's like a 1.6 crop sensor, and it has an amazing quality, but you can see that in the final results. So one tip, when you're shooting on location, you see I have a normal strap here. Normally I'm using a rabbit strap, but in this case just twist your hand like this, and then you know that you won't drop your camera. So when you drop your camera, it will hang on your strap, and that will save you a lot of money when you're not careful. Okay, one of the things I like to do when you're in the shade is work with a shallow depth of field. In this case, and this is what I like about these kind of lenses, you have a 1.4 aperture, so you have a very shallow depth of field. And now you have to remember that if you work with your plane of focus, if everything is straight on to the lens, everything will be in focus. However, if you change that angle, then you will see the shallow depth of field. So when I shoot straight on my model, let's say I'm going to stand here and I'm going to shoot straight at my model, on 1.4, this is actually not something that you would shoot on 1.4 because the model will be sharp, the background will be slightly blurred, but it's not that really nice depth of field idea. So you have to find angles, make sure that your plane of focus walks away from your lens. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus on the eyes of my model, and because the focus plane walks away, my background will be totally out of focus, and this is awesome with the 1.4. So I'm going to make a few shots of my model, a little bit closer. Very nice. Can you look a little bit that way? Very cool. But you can also shoot from the top down a little bit like this. This gives you also a very nice effect. Look at me and a little bit down. Very cool. Can you drop your sunglasses just a little bit and look with your eyes straight to me? Very nice. Always when you're shooting this wide open, make a few shots that you really make sure that you got your focus on the eyes. Can you lower the sunglasses just a little bit? If you have problems with the focus, what you can do is this. Lower the sunglasses. Look at me. I'm focusing on her eye now. Okay, put the sunglasses a little bit up. Perfect. And now I know for sure that I'm focused on the eyes. Sunglasses just a little bit up more. More. Perfect. Great. So I'm shooting down and making sure that my depth of field is very interesting that way. Now, when you are shooting on location, make sure that you make the most of your location. In this case, he's standing against the wall, but we also have bright sunlight. So let's look a little bit about the bright sunlight, how we're going to solve this, because now we're going to introduce some very harsh shadows. And one of the most beautiful things that I find in natural light is harsh shadows. A lot of people are afraid for shadows. Well, I say if you work with them, they can really make your shot stand out. In fact, shadows are the soul of an image. Now, when you look at the wall, what you can see is he's standing against the wall. Now you can ask yourself, why does Frank let the model stand against the wall? Why not go to a beautiful location? Well, in this case, I just want to give you some tips about how you can do it at home. Everybody has a wall. Unless you're homeless, of course, but then you probably won't watch this video. So when you're at home, you have a wall. You can place your model against the wall and make sure that you have nice images. And then when you go on location, just use the same techniques and it will just be better. But here you can see the fence is casting a shadow on the wall. And I don't like that very much because it's now making a connection with my model. So I'm going to ask my model to stand up maybe 2 meters to the right. Yes, very cool. They really have to do a lot for me, but okay. So she's standing there now, and what you can do, of course, is you can shoot on aperture priority mode. You can just set your camera for, let's say, f2.8, everything on auto, and just shoot away. My opinion is that you can better use a light meter and you can switch to manual mode. So what I'm going to do is, I know I want to shoot with shallow depth of field. So I'm going to set it on a 4,000th of a second to make absolutely sure that I can shoot as wide open as I want, because there's a lot of sun at the moment. So I'm going to meter the light, aim it towards the sun, and we're on f4.03. That means 1/3 of a stop higher than 4. So I'm going to f4 and just a little bit higher. So now manual mode. I'm just going to shoot. And I have a perfect exposure. And that's why I love to use the light meter. You just meter once and you have the perfect exposure time over time. And you don't have to work around with all your dials on your camera. You don't have to change where your customer is looking at. Frank, is everything all right? Is everything going well? Well, I have to change my camera, and that looks very unprofessional. Now it's very important to know where your shadows fall. Can you look just a little bit up? Very cool. I have a nice capture of the sun in our sunglasses to give a nice specular highlight. I'm gonna lower just a little bit. This is very nice. And I love the shadow on the wall. Just change some positions here. Very nice. Chin up just a little bit. That's very cool. Wow. Can you show also the other hand? I always want 2 hands in the image if possible. Very nice. That's cool. Okay, and I love the way the shadow plays on the wall, so that's very nice. I'm going a little bit more here. I shoot a little more from this side. There we go, very nice. Okay, the sun changes a little bit, so I can change my aperture just a little bit. Very nice. So when you're at home and you want to take images, just find a nice wall, some harsh sun or the shadow, and you can make beautiful images just at home. As long as you remember, photography is working with shadows. Don't flash away all the shadows with your strobes. Make sure that you play with the shadows. Like she's standing now, this is beautiful. Can you tilt up your chin just a little bit more and look towards the sun? Very cool. And also make sure, as I explained before, that you find your angles, because then the depth of field will change dramatically. Very nice. Wow, this is cool. So, try these tips at home. And again, this is just a very simple setup with natural light. So have fun, and I'll see you next time.